Hello and welcome back to Absolutely Marvel and DC. My name is Benny, that is Dan, and that is Sal. And today we're going to be looking at the Dark Web event. Now, I want to specify, we're actually doing this a day before the ending of it.
We're one issue away from it being over. But I don't think they're going to pull a hat trick in the last issue and be like, what, it was the whole thing was amazing.
And that's exactly what we like. Whatever they're going to do in this last issue, I don't think is going to change our overall opinions. And you know what? If it does, we'll make
another video.
Yeah, we'll make another video on it. But we feel like at this point, because it's like a 15-issue event, and we've all read the event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We can. Yeah. I feel at this point we could talk about it because it's a direct continuation of our discussion with Spider-Man and Venom. So. Yes. This is where they both went. They went into the Dark Web event. And today's episode is actually brought to you by our sponsor, Gamer Subs. Oh, where'd my thing go? I don't have it handy. Gamer Subs. Use to get a less chalky
shelf behind you, Benny.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can point to that, I guess, but you can't see those that well. Okay, Dan, zoom in. Do a zoom. Enhance.
Enjoy your pixelated, blurry
3 pixels.
Anyway, guys, it's an energy drink supplement. You get it as a powder. It's a little bit less chalky than its competitors. I really enjoy it. They also have a lot of fun running with shit posting and memes, which is great for community sake and stuff like that. Check them out. The link is down below. Use the code comics. All right. Also, just if you're wondering, I'm eating a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich while we have this discussion with homemade bread.
What?
Uh-huh.
That's dope.
Uh-huh. Which is why I don't want it to get cold.
That's fair.
That's
fair. Eat that.
So anyway, guys, I thought I would chew that faster. So anyway, guys. All right, so Dark Web. For those who don't know, Spider-Man, we're currently still dealing with the mystery.
Yep.
About what happened. Why did he split up with Mary Jane, and why is things going on? It's been a year since the Spider-Man Beyond event, in which Ben Reilly had all the memories taken out of his head, and he, for some reason, thinks that Peter Parker is taking them from him. And they do elaborate a little bit more on why he's so mad at Peter. As opposed to just being like, it doesn't make any sense. We saw one version of the events. While that is going on, Mary Jane and Black Cat are off doing their own thing. We discover Mary Jane's got powers. Venom is currently dealing with his time travel loopiness at the moment. And so he goes to Madeline Pryor, who offers to take away his memories in exchange for him helping her. And he can save Dylan, who at the time he thinks is still dead. Yeah. I think that's the setup for Dark Web, right?
Totally.
Okay, and then Ben Reilly goes to Madeline Pryor. They're both clones. Madeline Pryor wants the memories of her time with Nathan. It's Nathan, right? That's her child?
Yep.
Nathan Summers, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And Ben wants his memories back as Peter Parker. And so they decide to invade New York using the Limbo Demons.
Yes.
And the event begins. So, Sal, why don't you pick up what happened there?
I mean, it's essentially the old, like, 80s, 90s event Inferno, but with Spider-Man more in it. And the X-Men are dealing with that because, of course, Madeline Pryor was gifted Limbo from Magic, and she has, like, this special scythe that is important later, but it means that she's master of Limbo, and she's mad because essentially you got two clones who feel jilted and stolen from by their, like, counterparts. And so it's a match made in heaven. Plus, you know that, like, Peter Parkers are predisposed to dig redheads, so it works out great.
I didn't think about that.
I remember asking Zeb Wells about it, and he was like, no, there's not going to be anything between Madeline and Ben. And that's because, of course, like, Ben already has a redhead, and her name is Jeannie.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't she a redhead?
She's a redhead too, and she's she's Hallows Eve, and that's a character they're really trying to make work, which doesn't.
I like the design, but every time she uses her powers, I'm like,
it's so dumb.
Yeah.
To
At
quote
the ending, she does the Frankenstein mask.
Oh, so stupid. I'm sorry, and I am so sick of people who want grim and gritty and awesome comic books also defending, like, really dumb things in comics and then saying, it's comic books, it's supposed to be stupid. Like, does it have to be that stupid? Where she puts on different Halloween masks and gets powers that are based on the classic, like, when she puts on a Dracula mask, is she a vampire now? Like, what is this? It's a half-baked idea is what it is. She's a variant cover come to life. Which at Marvel is a very lucrative career for you. But, so essentially, Maddie does her thing against the X-Men, and because Dark Web is, like, cashing on the X-Men's popularity and Spider-Man's popularity. It's rare to see a Spider-Man X-Men event at all, much less today. And so it was a cool idea. I actually don't mind the premise of like two clones mad they don't have their memories working together to fight the X-Men Spider-Man. I love that idea, except that's like barely what's happening. Madeline immediately tries to get revenge on the X-Men, has a awesome issue of Dark Web X-Men #3, fights Jean Grey. Jean Grey's like, Maddie, if you just asked me, I'd be happy to give them to you. In fact, here you go.
Yeah.
And so Jean just ends Dark Web for the X-Men.
As soon as I read that, I thought it was going to be the Ben Reilly answer. Like,
yeah.
What?
Well, because Maddie gets her feelings, the ideas, she doesn't get she gets the memories, but more importantly, she gets the experience of being a mother. And so her part of this story is over. She's like, oh, I guess it's over. Ben Reilly's like, ooh, that's not fair. I'm mad anyway. And I'm like, why doesn't anyone just say, Jean, do that to Ben? Like, why doesn't anyone just do that?
I want to talk about that, but that's where we are right now, and that might be how it resolves still, but I feel like it's not going to because no one said that at any point.
Mm-hmm. Well, not only that.
But I want to go back to the beginning of the All Hallows Eve discussion.
Sure, yeah.
But All Hallows Eve, they've also, in this particular run, showed that Mary Jane has a Ben 10 watch that she can't control. Jackpot. So what is with Ben and Peter's girlfriends needing powers? Like,
I don't a lack of creativity, a
Dan,
desire to do a event or a story with Black Cat and Mary Jane.
Dan, what do you think about Jackpot?
I think is she Jackpot?
Is that
she
the name?
says it. I'm going with that because she says it as like her catchphrase. Jackpot.
Okay.
Like,
I'll give it to her. I think it's weird, but it works because right now it just adds more to the mystery of what the heck happened with Mary Jane, that in 6 months she left Peter, she found someone else, and now she has 2 kids that apparently
that are like that are like sentient and walking around like they are like 11-year-old children.
Yeah.
I don't think they're hers. I don't think they're like there's no way they're going to give us that unless Spider-Man
or maybe they
timeline.
are. She used her powers, got a jackpot at 3 sevens, and got the perfect family she always wanted. I mean, you never know.
That'd be interesting. That'd be an interesting twist if the reason they've separated is whatever led to her getting the watch gave her the perfect life without Peter.
Because I think that's also why they're also looking into the fact that they've got Black Cat interested in Peter in like a romantic way, and now they've got Black Cat and Mary Jane working together. So I think all of that is literally just set up to what we're going to do with Peter and Mary Jane and Black Cat after this event, and after they've kind of taken care of the Ben Reilly situation, so they can just go, okay guys, that's taken care of. It's over there. Read that if you want it. Now we're going into Ben 10.
Well, let's look at that. I want to look at that real quick so we can then talk about the core plot points. So as with many Marvel events, there are 3 ancillary storylines that do not matter to the storyline, but I will give them credit. At least they were in New York in the Limbo event. And that was Gold Goblin, Miss Marvel, and the Black Cat Mary Jane thing. They had nothing to do with the main story.
No, they didn't.
But they were at least in the, because there's sometimes they do tie-ins like where they're just like ignore like notoriously the Ghost Rider King of Black one. Oh, look at that. They'll take care of that. We got to go finish our thing. We're going to use the tie-in to finish our story.
Yeah, let's just wrap up Ghost Rider. And it's like, all right, fine. So we're here now in this like really frustrating time. I feel like the real issue is no one is excited. Yeah. Like they waited too long because they waited too long to like dangle the carrot of like, what did Peter Parker do? Great marketing mystery.
Yeah.
But don't spend a year making us wonder what happened, because
they're not even alluding to it. That's what's irritating me. Because it's not even like, it would be one thing if we were getting constant hints and drops. We're not. And he said it's not going to be revealed till issue 25.
That's right.
The problem is they're letting you forget.
Yes, they're letting you forget. But also for me, this is my just meta reading about it. My issue with the what did Peter Parker do thing is when it's all a flashback story. Like when we get that, let's say we love it. Let's say that what did Peter Parker do story arc is phenomenal. We know where it goes to a really disappointing run on Spider-Man. It goes to a halfway interesting Tombstone plot, a wasted opportunity Goblin fight, Vulture, and Dark Web. So like even if we're enjoying it, we're gonna know like, oh, but it all ends up really lame afterwards. And then it's not like we're gonna go back to that after this all happens.
Yeah.
So it's just gonna be a story that it might as well have happened 10 years ago. Like it might as well be you going back and reading some other story arc you enjoyed, because it's over now. Like that story arc that hasn't even happened yet, it's over now. So how can I be excited for something that technically already happened and led to a thing that I think sucks? Like I can't.
I actually don't dislike the
Zeb
Wells run. I am going to disagree with you on that one, but I will say, so far nothing has topped Dan Slott at his peak back for me. Like I liked everything Dan Slott did up until Parker Industries, and even that I didn't find terrible. I thought it was a natural progression for Peter Parker. Yeah, but so far between the Nick. Well, who wrote
Spencer?
Nick Spencer run to the Zeb Wells run to the Spider-Man Beyond run. Nothing has wowed me to the levels of like waiting for the next issue of Parker Industries, being like, what is he gonna do next? Like, what is happening?
Yeah,
and that's my issue. I don't find the Zeb Wells run that bad. I do have issues with Dark Web though. Yeah, because Dark Web, I think, is what the pros on it are that we're finally getting some resolution to where they left Ben Reilly at the end of the Spider-Man Beyond run. Yes. The pros on it are that we are getting a little more backstory to the Mary Jane situation. Yeah. The pros on it is that they're using this as a legit way to move Venom into the Bedlam personality. Because I was wondering how we were going to go to Bedlam, and this kind of makes sense that someone pulled out his memories. We're doing that. And the biggest pro is that it's condensed into basically a month and a half.
Right.
So it's not dragging out. It's not like, what the hell are we doing? The biggest con that I have with it is actually Peter Parker's story. Yeah. Because the Limbo in paper was great. We've been there 3 issues now, and it's just how many weird jokes can Zeb Wells make in Limbo?
Right. Like the web langer.
No, for me, like that, the entire Spider-Man Peter Parker plot that's happening in Limbo right now, I fully admit that it's not for me, but the Ed McGuinness art is peak Ed McGuinness. So like if you like Ed McGuinness, you're going to enjoy that. If you like goofy, off the wall, kind of like pseudo reality, silly demon stuff, like you're going to enjoy it. Like the most damning praise I can give that whole story arc is it looks like everyone involved is having a really good time. Yeah. Like, oh good, I'm glad you're having so much fun with this. I'm really hating what's happening, and it's really not for me, but but I'm not going to say it's bad. I'm not going to say that it sucks. I hate it, and you can't stop me. Right. The big issue I'm having right now is the Ben Reilly angle of this. Well, it made sense. Okay, it didn't really make sense why he became Chasm, but it made sense when we found out the years spent with Chasm, what happened. It made sense when Madeline Pryor offered to bring him his memories back. It made sense when he started the war with Madeline Pryor by his side. All logic went out the window when his plan was to put Peter into limbo, to trick him into eating an apple by making demons be his villains. Like, this part of the story doesn't line up. Ben, why do you think this would make him be like, oh, sure, Ben, here we go? Like,
it's a bad storytelling device to simply go, hey, Spider-Man, we need you off the board.
Yes,
like that's
in a
all
Spider-Man
this is.
event.
Exactly. Like, I feel like the only reason he's there is so that no one else can interact with him, so they can do all the other story plot points, the X-Men, like all of that stuff. They can take care of that without having to worry about Peter Parker talking to anyone, because if he literally talks to anyone, they'll go, oh, so he wants your memories. We'll give him a copy. Like,
yeah, no problem. We can easily do that. Here's the issue, okay? Here's why Ben Reilly seems like it doesn't make any sense. There's actually a page from the end of the Beyond story arc that's written by Nick Lowe, the editor of Spider-Man. There was an assistant editor named Danny who worked on the book as well. He left the book after that. The quote from Nick Spencer, with Danny in mind, I wanted to thank and apologize, isn't quite the right word, to the Ben Reilly fans out there. Ben is an incredible character who didn't really have a place in the Spider-Man landscape anymore. Peter Parker isn't going anywhere, and Miles Morales is here to stay, so Ben has been a challenge for us, which is translation. Not only do we not have an idea for Ben Reilly, but he has no place here.
Yeah.
And we thought this story, the Beyond story, was an opportunity to not only give Ben a last run as Spider-Man and to do a rare thing in the world of superhero comics, a tragedy, with most of our characters locked into eternal roles. A truly tragic story is very rare, and we hope that we did Ben justice with it. As you just read in our Days story, we may not have seen the last of Ben Reilly. Ben Reilly is Chasm. There is no plan to make Ben Reilly Spider-Man ever again. In fact, this is like a One More Day scenario where they're like, no. Editorial is like, don't use Ben Reilly. Like, don't make Ben Reilly Spider-Man. And for them, they're like, no, as far as the Ben Reilly Spider-Man fans are concerned, you have your story. It's called the Beyond story arc. That is the last time you will see Ben as Spider-Man. That's done. Why do you think we don't see Kane anymore? Because he's a redundant Spider-Man. And despite the fact that we are like salivating over Spider-Verses and Spider-Geddons, for whatever reason, in the in-universe, there are 2 Spider-Men, Miles and Peter, and that's it. So, like, I would not hold out hope that at the end, Chasm gets his Peter Parker memories and then becomes Spider-Man of Houston or Burbank or something. Like, I really do think he will be relegated to a crappy villain that after the story arc, no one's going to want to use.
And you're not wrong, because as a fan of Ben Reilly, I've seen that as it's same thing with Kane. There's too many Spider-Man. That's the problem. And yes, Peter Parker's never going to go anywhere. And Miles is the closest thing we ever got to a traditional replacement.
Yes.
The problem is, no matter where you move Ben Reilly or Kane to, they're just going to be the redundant Spider-Man. As much as I loved the Scarlet Spider run in Houston, they had to fundamentally change Spider-Man to make that story interesting.
Well,
they had to lean into the other.
Else.
He had to lose control. He had to turn into a giant spider. And the story worked, but he wasn't Peter Parker. And he wasn't just Peter Parker who kills. He was a different story.
Yeah, but also, like, I love the Scarlet Spider arc because it uses elements of the Spider-Man world that no one's interested in using anymore. Like, I hate the Other. I think it's a terrible story, and I think it really, like, demystifies Spider-Man. It makes it into this mythological thing that I'm not interested in. But I love that they gave it to Kane.
Yeah, I liked that. I like that there is, like, just to piggyback on your thought there, there's that storyline right now where Spider-Man's gone to California and he's dealing with, like, a Native American mystical
deadly neighborhood.
Deadly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Which is good. But my first thought with that was, why is this Peter?
Right.
You have him so deeply woven into everything going in New York that the first 3 pages are excuses as to why he's here.
No, you ease, and like you don't have any shortage of Spider-Man characters, but the person from the Black Eyed Peas really wanted to use Peter Parker, so like that's the story. Like we have to use Peter, but like there are places for Ben and Kane that you can use that still work, and you can take elements from, because Spider-Man's world is so big, like you could just pick and choose things that you'd think maybe don't work for Peter anymore or never did, and give them to basically Peter clones, literally Peter clones, and let them do that thing. I think the Scarlet Spider story is the like the Christos Cage or Chris Yost. I can't remember which one it's with.
Are you talking about the one where he went to Vegas and became evil, or the one where he went to Houston and became
like an anti-hero?
Okay. Yeah, but
like that Scarlet Spider series where he like fights Kraven and he deals with the Other. All that stuff is so cool, and it's not what I look for in a Spider-Man comic, but because it's not in a Spider-Man comic, I'm more willing to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Because it's happening to a character that I know, but is over there doing other things and doesn't affect my character over here, who can do the things that I like kind of want to see that character do instead. Spider-Verse, Spider-Geddons, those could all happen to other Spider characters now. I think that Dan Slott is actually writing Peter out of all the Spider-Verses by like having him get stabbed by that stupid dagger. But like
the plot device dagger,
the plot dagger, because like who got stabbed by that dagger? The 2 characters who absolutely shouldn't be in those story arcs, Jessica Drew and Peter Parker. Like now they're severed from the web of life. They will never be roped into another Spider-Verse event.
Right.
Okay, great. But like
I still think that Kurt Spider-Verse is terrible. Like the characters
horrible.
They're choosing to spotlight are just, you're not making cool characters for me to get excited about. You're just I almost feel like they're spitting on Spider-Verse with the character decisions. I'm fine if you have if you have a fan voted one. I'm fine if you have a couple kooky ones.
Totally.
But where's the badass ones? Like
right. Or where is the protagonist? Like, where is the main character of this? You know what I mean? So ultimately, I mean, like, I think that Dark Web, you know, it's forgivably short. It's over there. It didn't really affect anything, despite it being like a massive event that took over New York and also became an X-Men event. But it has its problems. It has its holes. It's not terribly exciting. And knowing what Nick Lowe said about Ben Reilly says to me, I can already tell you how it's going to end.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that
even if they do rip his memories out and put it back into Ben Reilly,
right?
I agree with you. Ben Reilly is going to stay Chasm. Like, they're gonna. I didn't think he was gonna become Scarlet Spider again, and then just, all right, I'll take this burrow, Peter. Like,
yeah. Which, like, I think that the audience thinks is going to happen, and I think that the publishers want the audience to think that's going to happen because it'll sell that much more units.
If he does become Scarlet Spider again, officially, like, you're right, I'm fixed.
Right.
I don't see us seeing him again. He's just gonna, because like Kane's still alive, I'm pretty sure.
Right?
Where is Kane?
I think he was in Spider-Geddon, but like I haven't seen. The thing is, Kane hasn't had a book or appeared in a Spider-Man comic, so I have no idea.
Right, and I feel like that if Ben Reilly as Chasm or Scarlet, when we ever see them tomorrow, is just gonna be all right. Well, I'll go find myself, Peter, and that's the end of Ben Reilly.
Yes, or at the very least, like at the end of Ben Reilly, until someone with some clout or cachet wants to write about him, and even then, like Marvel's gonna be really like hands-on about it because they're not going to want him to overshadow Peter Parker or occupy a place that should be occupied by Miles Morales. So it's like they're going to have a lot of rules in place if they undo the Chasm thing, which I doubt they do because they just did it. Like, this is the first outing of Chasm. Like, this is Chasm's first villain role. You know, it's not like they went, man, Norman Osborn as Green Goblin, he's like cool and scary, but like he's Peter Parker's best friend's father. We shouldn't make him Green Goblin anymore, and then undo that. Like you know, it's his first foray as a villain, and Marvel clearly had an agenda when it came to what to do with Ben Reilly. So I don't see him not being Chasm after this anytime soon.
Well, it's like the Gold Goblin thing. I don't see him reverting out of Gold Goblin to the end of this run. I feel like that's going to be the final villain of the Zeb Wells run. The revert back.
Absolutely.
Dan, what do you think they're going to do with Ben Reilly on tomorrow's issue?
I think that they're going to defeat/kill Ben Reilly as Chasm, but because he's in limbo, he's not going to technically die. I think as he is dying, they're going to give him the memories as kind of like a, look, you've been through a lot. Here's this. However, you did a lot of terrible things. You're now getting imprisoned in limbo. That way, the character exists. He's technically locked out of time. So, like, the real world can go on for days and years, and he'll still be the same age, pretty much.
Right.
And, like, I just feel like that's going to be how it goes. He's just going to get locked away in limbo. Maddie will probably be like, okay, fine. I'll properly rule. And then...
Oh, I already assume that's where Maddie's going. Maddie's just going back to limbo. Like, hope you enjoyed your outing in New York.
Well, the thing is, if, like, with Maddie, like, there's no agenda. There's no need for her to... So, Maddie, the sky's the limit for Maddie Pryor. But... And she has a bold new direction because, like, she has everything she wanted. She can be her own character. She can do her own thing. And no one cares. So it's not going to be a problem. With Ben Reilly, like, I think Dan's on the money when it comes to, like, we're going to leave him in limbo.
Yeah. Because I also think that the way that they're going to happily leave Maddie in limbo as well is Alex will say, I'll stay here with you. Because it's very clear that Alex has kind of been like, I'm done with the X-Men. Like, I was literally there just because someone wanted to, like, mess with Scott. I don't want to do that. I'm in my weird costume that looks like the Goblin Queen.
I do want to comment. I did think it was hilarious that they spun puppies around Cyclops' head.
Yes.
So he wouldn't open his eyes.
I know. I love it.
Oh, it was such a funny thing. And I loved the scene where he's trying to get the puppy to get his visor.
Yeah. And it's just, no, it's a stupid puppy. It's not going to do that. So great.
But anyway, that's where we currently feel about the Dark Web event. I don't think it was terrible. I'm glad it was within a month.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Sal, though. We need to get to the point of what's going on with Spider-Man. The biggest thing I think came out of this that was useful is the way that Al Ewing used this to make Bedlam.
Yep.
And then they just kind of separated from Dark Web. It was like, he
yeah.
showed up, became Bedlam. Now he's got to go fight Dylan and all that stuff.
Yeah, no,
we're not worried about Dark Web anymore. It's
as
over.
far as Al Ewing's concerned, he's like, I just used Dark Web to infuse a few new readers into my Venom book, and now I'm leaving. It's like, fair. That's what tie-ins are supposed to do.
And he did a great job of it too, because not only did he do that, but he immediately after that had got a few people into his book, gave the excuse for Bedlam, and then showed off Dylan's new awesome design. Like,
oh yeah, and turning into Codex.
Yeah.
That's pretty
So,
sweet.
But all right, guys, we're gonna wrap up today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. This has been Absolutely Marvel and DC, or Absolute Comics, and you can find us here every week live on Mondays and Thursdays, talking about your favorite comic books. Tuesdays in the afternoon, talking about your favorite comic books, and we try to upload daily, and hopefully news will start rolling out and you start getting those videos again. See you next time right here.